A new body of research led by the University of Sydney is transforming our understanding of how different types of protein affect human health over the lifespan, drawing a compelling distinction between what fuels early survival and what supports long-term longevity. The findings, rooted in 6 decades of global data from over 100 countries, paint a nuanced but remarkably hopeful picture. Animal-based proteins, such as those found in meat, eggs, and dairy, play a vital role in reducing infant mortality, especially in vulnerable populations. But it's plant-based proteins that seem to unlock the potential for a longer, healthier life. This study, spearheaded by PhD candidate Caitlin Andrews and Dr. Alastair Senior, offers more than just scientific data. It provides a fresh lens through which to rethink the future of food, health, and environmental stewardship. It begins by validating something long recognized by nutritional science, that animal-derived foods are packed with the key nutrients children need to thrive. From essential amino acids to iron, zinc, and fat-soluble vitamins, these nutrients support everything from bone growth to brain development. In the early years of life, especially in regions with limited food security, these foods can be life-saving. This is why, in contexts where malnutrition is a persistent threat, boosting access to animal-based protein has been critical in reducing child mortality rates. However, the most intriguing insights from the study emerge when we turn our focus from children to adults. As people move beyond childhood and into the decades where chronic disease becomes a more pressing concern, the nutritional priorities change. Here, the research shows that diets emphasizing plant-based proteins, such as those from beans, lentils, peas, nuts, tofu, and whole grains, are strongly associated with longer life expectancy. This relationship holds even after adjusting for variables like income and population size. Countries where the diet leans more heavily toward plants not only show lower rates of heart disease and type 2 diabetes, but also tend to experience overall reduced mortality among adults. This shift in nutritional advantage is deeply rooted in the composition of plant-based foods. Legumes and nuts don't just provide protein. They also deliver fiber, antioxidants, and an array of phytonutrients that help maintain metabolic balance and reduce inflammation. This is especially relevant in a modern world where many face the dual burdens of excess and deficiency, where overconsumption of calories often coexists with underconsumption of essential micronutrients. It's worth emphasizing that the goal here is not to demonize meat, but to recognize that nutritional needs evolve over time. While animal fats and proteins may be life-enhancing in childhood, excessive intake in adulthood, especially in the form of processed meats, has been strongly linked to cardiovascular issues, obesity, and shortened lifespan. On the other hand, increasing the intake of plant-based proteins appears to offer a buffer against these conditions, acting almost like a nutritional insurance policy for aging populations. Beyond individual health, the environmental implications of these findings are equally important. The production of meat, particularly beef and pork, carries a substantial ecological footprint. It demands more land, water, and energy and contributes significantly to greenhouse gas emissions. By contrast, the cultivation of legumes like chickpeas and lentils requires fewer resources and emits significantly less carbon. Thus, a shift toward more plant-based proteins aligns not only with public health goals, but with the broader imperative to protect the planet. What makes this research especially empowering is its practical potential. These insights don't just reside in the realm of scientific journals. They translate into real-world choices that anyone can act on today. For families with children, incorporating a mix of both plant and animal proteins remains key. But for adults looking to extend their health span and reduce disease risk, even small shifts, like swapping a few meat-based meals each week for plant-based alternatives, can have meaningful long-term benefits. Moreover, this isn't a one-size-fits-all prescription. The researchers are careful to note that dietary choices are shaped by many factors, including cultural traditions, food availability, economic constraints, and personal health conditions. Some communities will find it easier to adopt plant-based diets than others. What matters most is not rigid adherence to a specific eating model, but a flexible, informed approach that aligns with evolving nutritional needs throughout life. There's also a clear call to action for governments and institutions. The transition to more plant-based diets can be supported through public health initiatives, agricultural reforms, and educational campaigns that make plant proteins more accessible, affordable, and appealing. Future innovation might include developing new plant-based foods tailored to meet the specific needs of children in low-resource settings, ensuring that early nutrition is never compromised as societies work to reduce their dependence on resource-intensive animal products. Ultimately, this study invites us to think of protein not as a singular solution, but as part of a broader, dynamic strategy for lifelong health. It offers a vision of a future in which children grow up nourished and strong, and adults age with resilience and vitality, where health is not just about survival, but about thriving. It reminds us that the choices we make at the dinner table ripple far beyond our own lifespans, shaping the well-being of future generations and the planet they will inherit. In a world increasingly defined by complexity and urgency, there is something profoundly hopeful in this message. The path to longer life, better health, and ecological balance isn't buried in some distant future. It's already here, quietly growing in fields of lentils, waiting in baskets of beans, and thriving in every seed of change we choose to plant.